Nate and I just mentioned that we need to redo the
We have
podcast
to re-up with Podbean.
website. But we're probably going to go the lower rate because we're no longer putting out 200 megabytes of episodes a month. We're putting out smaller episodes less often. So that's good news
There you
in
go.
a
Yes.
certain way in terms of money.
I think I'm going to pick a very uncharacteristic song for my single just for fun.
Well, I like how we're all picking songs just to be ornery. And that's why I picked that Radiohead song because I knew it would drive Aaron crazy.
Oh yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion that you thought it would drive me crazy, which is why you chose it.
Well, I thought I knew it would drive you crazy because I know you didn't like the album, but we'll get there. So, okay, I'm gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, or 3, 2, 1 and start, and then I'll give us 5 seconds. Okay, hold on, I need to think of something to say. What song do you want to do first?
Hmm.
You want to start with Brooks and Dunn, then go to National Anthem, and
I
then
think
end with
that'd be
Accidental
too
Race?
slow. I think we should start with
You want
song
to
that
start
sucks.
with you want to start with Accidental Racist?
Yeah, because I think yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
Song that suck would be a good one to start with because it'll break the ice. Because
Okay.
no one
Right.
really cares because it's a sucky song, so if the content sucks too, it doesn't matter.
That's right. We could
Yeah.
just deep six it if we have to.
Right.
It also might be funny to revisit it with Ryan and Will, just to do like part 1 and part 2, and have them do like their own episode, just the two of them.
Or they could do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000, like them talking over the podcast.
Talking over our episode. Okay,
These
I'm gonna
fools
do.
don't know what they're talking about.
It would be really funny. Sorry, this would be really funny. We're not going to do it. Would be to talk about this song, "Accidental Racist," like as not a song that sucks, but like really just genuinely adore the song for an episode. That'd be so.
I
I'm
don't
not
come
sure
prepared for
that I'm
that.
that good of an actor.
I did not come prepared. Okay, here we
Yeah.
go. 3, 2, 1, go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Takedown Notice. Like this song, we are a podcast that means well, but perhaps doesn't end as well as it should. I'm Nate Owens. I'm joined by the brothers Van Valkenburg. John, how are you?
I'm delightful.
And Aaron, how about you?
I'm great.
You're great.
That was bad.
Well, you know, it's okay. We're not getting paid to do this.
Not everybody
and
can be
also
delightful.
Right? Yeah, you're probably
Hard
caught a little
follow.
off balance by this song you made us listen to. Why don't you tell us about the song you picked out? Because it really does suck. It's a dreadful song. You need to tell us about it.
You know, I want to qualify that it sucks. This song, in a lot of ways, is great. As Stephen Colbert seemed to say, we can all get behind this song because we know how bad it sucks. It unites all of us in saying it sucks. And I totally agree. But this song is called Accidental Racist by Brad Paisley and LL Cool J.
Featuring
Yes, featuring
LL
LL
Cool
Cool
J.
J.
Yeah.
From 2013 album Wheelhouse. And, you know, as music, this song is just a kind of an ordinary, you know, country ballad, kind of inspirational. And I think that really means well in its production, in its tone, in its content, lyrical content, but it just fails miserably at almost every level regarding themes. And then the only musical aspect I find appalling is just the poor mix of rap and country
Yeah.
that just generally is tough to pull off. And so my first strike against LL Cool J here is that he even bothered to do this song for musical purposes.
Frankly, he barely bothered. I mean,
Yeah,
he's,
okay.
he's
But just
capable of much better, but he's
This is
he's
one of the
phoning it
worst
in here.
musical decisions by a rapper ever. Just purely musically, even if this was about, you know, the hood or about whatever. Anyway. So anyway, this song though,
You have to give some qualification. What specifically really puts it over the top here? I think that's what we really need to know.
What puts us over the top, I guess, is that there's the sense we can overcome that we're all just different. I'm just a white man from the Southland, Brad Paisley, and I just like Skinner, and that's why I wear the Confederate flag on my shirt, and it's just cultural. And then that's who I am, and just as much the right to be as I am to be who I am. You can be who you are. You gold chain wearing, pants sagging,
guy in a do-rag.
Guy in a do-rag who's black. And somehow these are equivalent. They're attempting to be equivalent. The whole song attempts to kind of like show them as the same, and we're just trying. We can't rewrite the history of racial relationships in the United States. And so the biggest problem is the attempt is, first of all, to write this song in a country style already kind of signifies this is the white man's music from the South defining this whole conversation, which is already kind of problematic as a way of, I guess, engaging the issue. And then the entire song, like the chorus, is about I'm just a white man, and it's all from the white man's perspective. So this is before we get to the bridge, which is where the main problem is. But just the attempt to say let's kind of reconcile, let bygones be bygones, and so on, as we clumsily hear at the end. This song is structurally problematic just from the outset, before it falls down on its face in the bridge especially. And we can talk about this, but basically there's the chorus that's being sung by Brad Paisley, and with echoes in the background that really spell it out here. If you don't judge my do-rag, I won't judge your red flag. If you don't judge my gold chains, I'll forget the iron chains. And so we've got this, comparison, and we've got do-rag and red flag. And the red flag's a symbol for a lot of people of hate, and the do-rag is simply, I don't like how you look, period. There's no, history of do-rags meaning something explicitly like the red flag does. And then the gold chains and the iron chains, that just speaks for itself.
I like how we in the lead up to this, I circulated a clip from the Colbert Report where Stephen Colbert is talking about this song, and when he says, when they mention this gold chains for I'll forget about the iron chains, and he says, okay, white people, this is a good deal. You are really getting the better end of this bargain here.
So true.
Yeah, here's what for me. I mean, it's a really tacky, awful song. I mean, there's just no way to. I can't overstate how awful and tacky it is. But what really puts it over the top is how earnest it is, and how just soppy and heartfelt. I mean, it's just that really slow country ballad from the very beginning, and it's like, wow. Oh, but the first time I heard it, Aaron talked about this song at some point earlier on, and I heard it, and I heard him talking about it. I'm like, well, what kind of song is that even? I mean, and I think I thought it was like a collaboration between Brad Paisley and LL Cool J, and it really is a Brad Paisley song with a very poorly rapped bridge by Cool J, and so it's this kind of. Yeah, it's like it's not. I mean, they're doing they are not collaborating. Whatever they are doing, there is no collaboration here, because it's like LL Cool J. I doubt that he even knew what song he was rapping about. Like it really feels like completely disconnected from everything else. And what's the funniest thing about it is like how he's basically kind of playing himself as being the victim for offending someone. Like I wore this Skinner shirt. It's like, come on, man! I just means I'm a Skinner fan. That's why I'm wearing a Confederate flag. And it's like, but you do see the problem, right? I mean, it's like you are not the one who's been wronged here. I mean, maybe you could argue no one's been wronged, and I'd be okay with that. but at the same time, you aren't under attack here. It's like no
And it
one's
doesn't
asking.
want a song expressing this.
Right? Yeah.
Like this is the kind of thing that you stays in your head.
Yes.
You know.
I think that's my biggest issue with it is, I mean, yeah, it's a horrible song. It's stupid and boring, and the rapping by LL Cool J was literally, I think, just for a paycheck because he must not be making enough money with NCIS Los Angeles. I mean, the dude just completely
He phones it in.
lost
big
every
time.
single street cred possible with this song. But I think the big thing is that, yeah, exactly what you said. This is something you keep in your head. And there's probably a bigger, well, not probably. There's definitely a bigger issue here with the whole Confederate flag thing. I mean, it generally just stands for a very oppressive, horrible time in our country's history where we had basically two separate entities. So why would you continue to display it? Because your butt hurt. That's the big thing. I mean, no offense, Southerners, but that's the big thing. And there's a reason why it rubs people the wrong way. It's because it was about slavery. That's the Civil War. Slavery.
Yeah,
I mean, there are other external issues, but still.
You don't find people trying to rehabilitate the red swastika flag, and I mean it's not
Come
and it's
on,
not
guys. It's just the symbol of the rising sun.
right. It's like, yeah, I mean it's not you just don't do that, and it's like but even apart from that, I think it's just like. I mean, because the thing is, you could go and there's someone within their rights to wear that kind of thing. Well, sure. I mean, I as I understand it, yes. But it is also like, but yeah, I mean, it's you see where the problem is though, and surely it's not that big a problem for you to not wear that shirt around certain areas. It's like
or at all.
Or at all. I mean, is that really such a hassle? I mean, it's like
let's go one step further. The song is called "Accidental Racist," almost implying that, I guess I was.
Oops, I didn't mean to.
But I didn't mean to. As if that's an excuse. It's like,
racism, you are still a racist. If you're racist on accident, you're still a racist.
That a lot of our racism is by accident. So sorry, accidental racist is no excuse.
Seriously, it couldn't have the worst opening line possible.
Oh my word!
I mean, to the man that waited on me, like, well, there you go. Put you in your place, black people. You are servants.
It's just a step away from calling him boy. I mean, it's awful.
Now, the crazy thing is that it would be horrible, but it could be categorized as just horrible on one level. But it's horrible on all levels because even LL Cool J's portion, where they're apparently writing like the other perspective, is just makes ridiculous leaps and bounds. Like when I see a white cowboy hat, I think of invisible white hoods. Really?
That is not the same thing, Mr. Cool J.
Do you understand the white cowboy hats are because they reflect the heat better?
Yes.
That's the whole purpose behind them, is not because they can't wear a hood in public. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It is absurd from stem to stern. I mean, there's no like. Yeah, there's just and it is made funnier because he's really trying to start the conversation, and you can even say that's to his credit, but it's like at some point someone has to look at what you're writing and say, hey Brad, you sure this is what you really wanted to say? And he said, yeah, that's it, man. That is what I wanted to say. That is on my mind. And
this does seem like the type of song that like I don't know this, but like. Is it possible that Brad Paisley wrote the rap like himself and was like, I just can't pull it off, so I just need to like a rapper?
I'll tell you what, if he did, then LL Cool J really has just hit rock bottom.
Yeah, if that's the case, but
he can't possibly need the money. I don't know, man.
Just because
I don't know, Brad Paisley is the most successful, one of the most successful country artists. So. I mean, he sells a ton, so it's possible that maybe it was just a big paycheck and that's all he cared about. But
the other thing I should mention, and Stephen Colbert mentioned this on his great criticism
Parody
of
and
this,
stuff.
parody of this, but Brad Paisley has a history of doing silly topics and not really engaging with deep material. And so when one of your first attempts to do that is to wrestle with systematic racism in its different expressions.
Oh yeah, I liked his example of the song called Toothbrush.
Yeah.
And so I just I don't know. It seemed like a really bad idea, and but I have all these questions like who produced this, who everything, like what just happened?
Yeah, there had to have been a lot of points where someone could have stepped back and say, "Hey, wait a minute, what kind of song are we even making?" And I and apparently, if that happened, no one talked to Brad Paisley about it.
Dude,
Like
this
they
was
just thought,
produced south of the Mason-Dixon line. It's all good.
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah.
Man.
So yeah, I don't know. But I think this is just a song that that just I don't know who
sucks.
would think this doesn't suck. Like I don't. That's what I want to know.
Brad Paisley didn't think it sucked, and that's scary. And it makes me sad that a person like that makes millions of dollars. Millions of dollars.
Well,
This song alone probably was part of an album that made him millions of dollars.
no one said the entertainment business was a meritocracy.
Dude, we need to make a stupid song. I'm serious. I think that is the key. As we discussed before, you make a sucky enough song and you will make millions.
We could
True.
be YouTube hits.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to be a YouTube hit anymore. We just have to really commit to it. So all that to say, that's something you listeners can keep an ear out for. We'll tell you when our terrible song hits, and you'll all want to hear it. Yeah. All right. Have we purged everything about accidental racist that we want to talk about? I think one thing I do want to add is that it is just a very it's a very drab country song too. Like it's just like it's like it's a nice warm shade of beige if songs were colors. I mean it is very standard country fare without much it's and then it's very just ham-fisted bad rapping.
Yeah, if it was just about like the American flag and how much we love it, it probably would have done really, really well.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just
a white flag with some red stripes, some stars in the blue background. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, there's our song.
Dude,
okay, we have to go get in the recording studio and do this now while it's still fresh. All right. Okay, definitely. I'll take that as a yes. Well. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Later.
Peace.
Oh, okay. Let's stop the recording.
Yeah, stopped.
Okay. Let's do all the get noise profile or whatever.
Well, I'm just going to save the project because my computer takes forever when I'm on Hangouts, but I'll have it posted tomorrow for you. So.
That's great.
Yeah, that's such a horrible song.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I didn't do a very good job of bringing this in.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Sometimes it ends up sounding better.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
We always think
it
wasn't that great, and then it ends up being hilarious.
Yeah, I mean the conversation about Chinese food was so funny. Like I don't remember.
I can't wait to hear it.
It was great. Well, we can't hear it yet.
We should even just make like a Songs That Sucks podcast. And only just talk about terrible music.
There's a guy on YouTube that only does that. I just found.
Oh, really? Okay, so that niche is already out there then.
Yeah, he has like 20 videos just talking video podcast about how a song sucks. But he hasn't done this song yet, surprisingly.
Well, there are a lot of songs that suck. He could do that for a good long time and make a life's living. You'd think. Maybe not make a living,
but yeah.
Open new audio file.
So let's call this accidental
racist. Yeah, I'm just calling it accidental racist. And I have a new one up here. You guys want to go into Brooks and Dunn or to Radiohead next?
I think Radiohead's going to have the best conversation, so meaning the most back and forth, so let's save that one.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can segue from one sucky country song into a good country song.
Even though
Definitely.
they're not connected, we're not going to connect them because
No, no. Well, and also who knows if either episode will hear the light of day. You know, I mean, it's like you don't want to,
True.
Yeah.
just the way things are. It's so I always do my best to try not to date these, especially now that we have such a backlog and things to pick from. We're like Prince. We just record stuff whether it gets released or not, and then guys, I'm comfortable with this comparison to us being Prince. I'm okay with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Except,
Are you guys
yeah.
ready to start recording here?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do 3, 2, 1, record.
Crap. Hold on.
Okay.
Stop
I don't know why it. I don't know why it wouldn't. Stupid. Stupid. Stupid.
I should figure out something to say.
Nate, by the way, or
Yeah.
John or whoever, how do you think the short format's working for us? That when the episode 11, the draft.
I like it a lot. I think it makes it more manageable. There's not, this. I've started this because one of the ways I'm making a little bit of scratch is I've been donating plasma, and I listen to podcasts while I donate plasma, and there is like a ceiling, like, okay, 45 minutes is kind of the limit for me, because
So
it's
this, I
like
think, people are more likely to listen to our stuff.
I think so, and like you said, I mean, if we just actually call them by what they're called, like the next episode about We Didn't Start the Fire, that might just get some hits.
Just because it's the only.
Just because it's a famous song,
Right.
Sorry, guys. My
And so-
computer just jacked up. I have to restart.
No, do what you need to.
You're good. We'll wait for you.
Yeah, that's fine. And so I think that if we're doing shorter episodes and we title them in a not cutesy way, I know that was kind of Will's idea, and it's not a bad idea, but I think that it's just better for SEO if we're not doing that,
Definitely. Yeah, I think
we could always put the cutesy name in like parentheses.
Yeah, and just make it clear what it is we're talking about in the title, because I think that's what you really need. And actually, I was always told to do that when I was writing game reviews too. Is always put the name of the game and the word review in the title, because that's what search engines look for.
Yeah.
So,
like our YouTube.
I don't know about you guys, but I constantly get updates about us having views to our Facebook page.
Yeah, me too. Because we're listed as admins. I don't know. I mean, we're probably not getting a whole bunch of traffic, but it's just like.
I mean, I guess we've.
Unless that's Aaron checking every single day. I mean, I'm getting
20 and 30 times.
I'm getting a couple hundred at least a week when I get my notifications in Facebook.
I don't know.
Yeah. Aaron, I also had a thought that maybe we should just record, because I'm not going through the whole song and dance at the end of the episode. Maybe we should actually record just a bumper at the end that is just giving all the contact information.
Oh yeah.
Our email address, our Twitter handle,
and that way you can just append it to everything.
Right, and just superimpose it on the end of whatever is playing over the end, and then say that you've been listening to the Takedown Notice, contact us at such and such, subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review, and then ta-da, and just we could, and I don't care who records it. It could be one of us. It could be someone. We could get like a nice lady's voice to do it for us. I don't care. It's just I mean, that'd be something good to have on there.
Yeah.
John, how's it coming?
It's moving.
It's moving.
Oh.
It's not. My setup is I have the laptop doing the recording,
right,
and I have my main PC. Like you guys are on the Gigantor screen again, doing the actual Hangout, because I don't like it. It takes forever to try to use two separate audio sources and crap. So.
Yeah, I wish I had two things I could do that with, because I totally would.
All right, we're back in business. Sorry, guys.
No, it's fine.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Let's do Okay, you guys ready? Aaron?
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, record. Well, we here at the Takedown notice it's important that we broaden our horizons, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about a genre that we have not really touched on very much. We're going to be discussing a country song by Brooks and Dunn, featuring, is it Reba McEntire? Did I get that right, John?
Yep.
All right. Hey, John,
Actually, kind of like a collaboration between the two of them.
Yes, this is, it's really kind of both people's songs, isn't it? Like it's kind of a.
They both claim it on an album.
Yeah, okay. Well, John, why don't you give us a little background? You picked this song out for us. Why don't you get the ball rolling for us?
I mean, this one's pretty simple. I went through my I love country music and everything about country music phase in high school, and this was one of my favorite ones because it's sappy, and that's the kind of person I was. That's the reason why I also liked like Firehouse and things like that. So, no, I mean, it's.
We haven't actually named what the song's title is.
Oh, sorry. That's really horrible.
Yeah.
The song is called "If You See Him, If You See Her," by Brooks and Dunn and Reba McEntire, and I mean, I'm a big fan of country duet and group music. Anyway, I mean, I like Diamond Rio, and I like Alabama. I like Brooks and Dunn. I like some of the new stuff. It's not as good, but I've always been a fan. And this is just a great love song, ballad, yearning type of feeling. The remorse of never really reconnecting with that person that should have been. I don't know, and the singing's fantastic. I do find it interesting how Brooks and Dunn kind of do this. They have such similar voices that they basically sing most of their songs as if it's one person layered on top. That's what I've noticed. I haven't really seen them ever, and again, I could be completely wrong on this, but in my experience with them, I've never seen them doing a whole lot of back and forth banter. It's been more of just doing the harmony. That's especially true in this song, where I mean, you don't get the dialogue. If they do, it's really weird, like the ultimate threesome or something like that. But you don't you don't really get that vibe in this one. This one feels more like it's just a second voice that is like the echo of Dunn. So yeah, that's the main reason I like country music. I think a lot of times they have better voices than most people in the other arenas of music. So that's it. And I want
Aaron,
everybody else to experience it.
Yeah, I like this song a lot. I heard it, and I hadn't heard this before, which is strange. I figured I would have heard it because I like some other Brooks and Dunn. Shoot, the song's not coming to mind. My Maria. They did a cover of a '70s rock song. My Maria was a huge hit for them, and I loved that. And I like some other stuff they've done, but I hadn't heard this one, and yeah, I totally loved it. I love kind of emotional duets and this style of pop because it kind of it builds really easily because of the way you can go back and forth and kind of create climaxes just by joining singers and so on. And when you have great singers in a good song, you can make something as wonderful as this. So I think this was great. What struck me about this song, I don't want to get technical, I suppose.
Get technical. That's what you're here for, man.
This is such this is the prototype of the AABA pop structure that you see a lot, and it's at multiple levels, which is great. And all I mean by AABA is A has certain material and B is contrasting material. And when you pair them together in certain ways, you get the structure that's very common. And each of the individual verses and choruses, so to speak, I mean, there isn't really a chorus to this.
Yeah, not really.
You get the "if you see him, tell him I wish him well" as an A, and then another A, "how am I doing? Well, sometimes it's hard to tell." And then the B feels like a chorus because of it changes. "I still miss him more than ever, but please don't say a word." And it comes back to the "if you see him" kind of refrain is tagged. And so that structure, that AABA, in its own way, it's its own form, but then that itself combines to be one A in the larger form. And so you get that whole four-part segment comes back again, and then you get the bridge, which is the climax of the song, where "I still want her." Dunn sings "I still want her." Reba comes in, "I still need him so," and then they both sing together with the harmony, with Brooks singing as well, "I don't know why we let each other go," in an instrumental, which is a great entrance in with kind of the offbeat hits into the instrumental. And so that whole bridge section becomes the large scale B, and then we return to the beginning. And so it just goes to show, this song, how powerful the basic structure of kind of AABA is in pop music, and how powerfully it drives and enables expression throughout so many different songs. And this is a perfect example of that, just at multiple levels.
Okay, well, let me I'm going to preface what I'm going to say with a kind of a broad statement about country music, and that is that I think that when we're talking in a very critical analysis of music, country music generally gets the shaft. There's a lot of reasons for that. One of those is that music criticism is largely driven on the coasts. It's driven, California, New York kind of settings. Those aren't country music settings, even though country music is easily, I don't know if it's the most, at least anymore, the most commercially successful style of music, but if not, it's right up there. I mean, Garth Brooks is, I believe, the number one selling artist of all time. Is that, John? It's some kind of ridiculous distinction like that Garth Brooks holds.
He has a ridiculous number of sales. I don't know if he's the number one seller of all time, but
yeah. But it's that kind of genre, and because of that, it's dismissed. Often unfairly, and part of that is because they kind of have dismissed the critical establishment as well. That's clearly not what they're worried about, and that was especially true. This is John. What year did this song come out?
Like 94.
Okay,
98.
yeah. This is like
98. Never mind.
Oh, okay. It's later than I thought. This is a very how do I put it? This is a very mid '90s sounding country song to me, and I don't mean that in a derisive way, but just in a way that says this is a style of country we don't get as much anymore, which is a very produced kind of I hesitate to say overwrought, because it's not. I mean, it's just that kind of song. It's a very weepy ballad kind of song, and so all that to say, there's this sort of kind of this critical dead space surrounding country music, and what you really find is that people say when they don't like country, they always fall back on the same cliches. So they fall back on this, I don't like they say they don't like the twang. Whatever they mean by twang, they don't like that. It's this kind of amorphous thing that doesn't really mean anything when you say you don't like it, but, or they don't like, the words are all, though the songs are all about the same thing, quote unquote. It was all about, the cliche of, I lost my dog, lost my truck, which is not true. I mean, it's a much bigger genre than that. And so I'm thinking, every time I think of this song, I think of all that stuff because frankly, I don't like country music that much, and part of that is a lack of exposure. I just haven't listened much. This is the first time I'd heard this song too. But it was not. My wife likes country music a lot more than I do, and she recognized this song when I was playing it. She's like, "Why are you listening to that?" And I'm like, "Because John picked it out for the podcast." She's like, "Oh, I really like this song," and it was like, "Oh." So we're wandering into music that my wife knows better than I do, which is a rarity in our house. And
the Takedown night is uniting husbands and wives.
Yes, yeah, we're bringing together people in their marriage. So so I didn't love this song either. And I actually, and it was not a particular thing of, oh, I don't like this quality about it. It's a very well written song. It's it's not a moving lyric to me, just because for me it kind of plays as like a general kind of sappy lyric, John, and you even said that. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, we can have songs like that, but so I don't really connect with it in any meaningful way. And so when I kept on listening to it, I listened to it a few times, and I kept on trying to pin down what I didn't like about it. And I think that it's hard for me because I think on one hand I don't mind a standard pop structure and a kind of a country song that embraces that, but this is a very I think when I like country music, I like something just a little I don't want to say less produced because I'm not sure that's actually necessarily true, but I think I like something that's a little less stringy and power ballady, because that's almost how this plays to me. Almost a step, and this will sound weird, but it's almost like a kind of step away from the kind of Aerosmith big power ballads you get in the '90s that are just like they're all kind of Angel and all these they're all kind of the similar sort of song, and they all kind of sound the same. And that doesn't mean any one of them isn't good, but it just kind of fell in that category for me. And it was weird because I heard the vocals, and it was like, well, this is what people mean when they say the word twang, is they mean stuff like this, and but I hated
Dunn
that.
is a perfect example of twang.
Yeah, but then I was trying to figure out, well, what does that mean? Why does that bother me? And I think what it is, and this frustrates me that I think this, because I don't think I apply this standard consistently across all my music, but that's not you don't have to when you think of this stuff. But to me, it sounds like they're purposely singing in kind of an irritating, affected nasally sound, because that is what's expected. Now, that's not fair for me to say because I don't know them. I don't know how it's like, but it sounds tacky to me.
So
Like,
you're almost saying, like, if you're going to be pop and do kind of essentially a pop song and a ballad, why stick with the twang when you're really just doing a pop song?
Maybe to some extent, and actually that actually brings up something else, and this also bothers me that I feel this way, because I don't know if it's really a reasonable complaint, but to me there's nothing about this that actually says country aside from kind of the window dressing of it. The song has no, like, lyrically it doesn't particularly point in any kind of countryish direction, at least at least kind of with at first thought.
Well, that's you're applying your own stereotype again,
yes,
that we just talked about.
Well, it is. Well, and
Backstreet Boys doing this song, and it'd be okay.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You could hear like Whitney Houston singing this song. You could hear Mariah Carey singing something like that. This is just it's not a country song so much as it is a pop song, and then the country part of it is like a coat of paint on top of it. And I think that kind of ties into like why the singing style bothered me, because it's like, this is a style, and you can sing stylistically, and I want to be careful here because there's a lot of irritating vocalists that people say, well, why would you feel that way here and not hate, like, for example, Bob Dylan? Could Bob Dylan learn to sing better? Probably. He's a musician. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. But, he doesn't have to sing like this, Or why does James Hetfield have to sing that way for Metallica? It's like, it's a stylistic thing. Yeah, or Tom York. Yeah, these are stylistic choices as to how they want to sing, and that's fine. This one bothers me though, and I think it's because it sounds like it's like every vowel is kind of pinched down a little bit, so it sounds like it's a little more of a drawl, and instead of like that kind of languid drawl you get, like I live in Texas and Aaron lived in Texas for, you kind of have this sort of moseying drawl kind of. This sounds like kind of pinched and forced. And a little like almost like a country, the country equivalent of Fran Drescher's voice, if that makes sense. So I hear all these things. I don't know if this is reasonable for me to feel this way.
I think that's totally unreasonable, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's totally unreasonable. I mean, first of all, I think it's the sound. I think it's an exaggeration of something that's kind of in the Southern kind of way of speaking anyway. And that's okay. Just like angst and, let's say, death metal is an exaggeration of this sense of yelling and this over masculine. James Hetfield singing is hyper masculine, and it's like, well, why do you have to be all rough and tough every time? Yeah,
Right.
Why do you have Batman voice going on?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and you know what? And maybe Go ahead. Sorry.
No. It's so like I think it's unfair to say to isolate this song. If you're gonna do that, why should any country singer sing that way? And
Well, and
part of me
I think
thinks,
that's exactly my struggle, Aaron. Is like because in my head I know that's an unreasonable standard to hold, but I think that's kind of where I'm falling.
I feel like the only reason you're upset about this is because every other part of the song doesn't scream country, and even the themes don't. Like if this was the
I
Chattahoochee
disagree with you
song by
on that.
Alan Jackson, then.
I'll get back to that, but I disagree with you that the theme doesn't touch on country.
But I mean, it's
I'll
not
get to that in a second.
country. There's no hip hop song called, Chattahoochee or whatever, or She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy. That can't be a hip hop song, And so, like, that's exclusively country, where you wouldn't have a problem with She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy when it's sung with country twang, right? You expect that.
No, I wouldn't. And you know what? Maybe what this is, it could just be it's done in a style I don't really like very much. So there's that. But it's also the type of song it really is, which is a pop ballad, is also not a style of music. It's not a song form it's a song form I like in small doses. And to be fair, this is a small dose. But it's a song form I'm not completely wild about, done in a style that I don't really like much either. And even if it's a good example, I think it might actually be one of those things where it's just I hate saying not my cup of tea because that's such a critical cop out. But I think that's what it is.
Well, there's two things, Nate. I think one, and this is easy to do, growing up anywhere that is not country music haven. I mean, you did kind of in a little bit with Ohio, but
Ohio and Kansas City and Michigan, and it's like at least where I lived in the U.S., that's definitely true. So
we're kind of conditioned to think of country the way that you just described.
Yes.
Like it's only supposed to be about tractors and trucks and women and dogs dying and I lost my love and things like that. This one is more of like an old style country, like slow dance. That's what this kind of feeling is, and it's more of just the simplicity and like the kind of the humble country nature. I really miss that person, but you know what? I don't want you to go out of your way to tell them. That kind of thing. And also, I mean, to be fair to Brooks and Dunn, they've not sung any other way than
sure.
this. It's similar to Alabama or George Strait,
sure.
Any country singer, because as pop artists generally are going to gravitate how they were taught to sing. There's the example of that Aaron and I would always use of Mark Morrison. I love Mark Morrison's voice, but he could never do a rock song. He was taught classically to sing. He has a fantastic voice, but so if he was singing a song, it would grate on people that they really prefer the pop style or rock style, which is I think the same reason why some people can't handle opera. Because I mean, you can't say that's not technically sound singing. It's ridiculously technical. But because it's a genre that we're not accustomed to or that we're trained to see as an outlier, I think that doesn't do as well for us.
Yeah, and like I said, it is I think mostly just it's a genre. First of all, I'm not familiar with beyond just the big tent poles, the big Garth Brooks songs and stuff like that, and so that doesn't. I don't really have. You have a better insight into the genre than I do, and I think that I feel like that shows when I'm trying to articulate what I don't like, besides just not liking it, and so but I do think you did mention like this kind of humble country kind of thing. I think specifically that kind of 90s pop country, I think specifically what I don't like about it is how big and produced it is. But at the same time, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's a personal preference thing too. And I think there's even an interesting juxtaposition when you're talking about something kind of kind of romantic and intimate. to a very produced musical setting. And I don't. And people do that all the time, and I don't think that's a bad juxtaposition. And I think what I'm really struggling with here is trying to not fall into the same traps that I talked about at the beginning. Like not trying to. Of course, I mean, I really don't. To me, it is a pop ballad, which isn't something I like, and it's not something I love, and it's not done in a style I really like very much. And I think that might just be what it is. And I've just been struggling to try and pin it down more specifically than that, and I'm not sure I can. And that bothers me. Like that's kind of an unresolved tension for me. So
yeah.
Well,
at the end of the day, I don't have to get any deeper than that. But I think that's what's kind of gnawing at me here.
Well, and country music's not for everyone. That's for sure. Just as a couple side notes, we talked about whether this was more of a collaborative effort or whatever. This actually was the headlining track for both artists' albums. Reba McEntire's album was If You See Him for that year, and Brooks and Dunn was If You See Her. Those were the titles of their albums that came out that year. And so they both used it as the opening, the title track for those albums. And just as a personal note, it was in 1998 on my birthday, #1 on the country charts. So
that means a lot. That was so nice of them to release your birthday music like that.
I'm just saying that's the kind of
the stars were aligned.
Yeah, the stars were aligned perfectly. Yeah. It was between this one and Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey, One Sweet Day.
Man, it's getting all 90s up in here. 90s pop, man.
Yeah, actually, the song this really reminds me of is It's Your Love by Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. I mean, that's what this is, basically.
Yeah, I know it does sound like that. You're right.
And I'm a sucker for that as well. So
yeah. I think there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. Frankly, I think it's you like something and you should be able to like it, without having to defend why you like it, or at least without having to feel like, oh, I shouldn't be liking this, And so I think this is just something. It's kind of on the other side of that for me. And I think that's kind of where I fell. But man, I tried. I gave it a lot of listens. I was like, what is bothering me about this? And I think it was just I think it's just a not my thing kind of thing.
It's okay. You can't always overcome it.
No, I can't.
I'm never going to like ska. And no matter how much I listen to ska, I'm not going to like it.
Yeah, maybe not. Oh,
and
well.
I know you like ska.
Well, I did in 1998 like every Christian youth group kid. It has its moments. It's got its moments, like everything. All right, guys. I think have we said our piece about Brooks and Dunn and Reba McEntire? Excellent. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We'll catch y'all next time. I said catch y'all there at the end.
Catch y'all. I caught that.
I love y'all. I don't know if
y'all is useful, and actually I do. I've always used it a little, like kind of now and then.
So useful. I say it as much as I can. It's just so efficient. It's gender neutral. It's you can talk about a group of people. You can talk about one person. It's great.
And it makes you sound so like folksy. You sound like people suddenly like, oh, he said y'all. How bad could he be? He's not some stuck-up critic. He's actually he's just folks,
Unless you're dropping the F-bomb before it, you're probably gonna get a good positive reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't do that at church. Now, if I'm at the freestyle competition, then maybe I will be dropping an F-bomb before. Like you do.
But y'all does just sound like you're gonna have some biscuits.
Yeah, it does. In fact, I might go bake some biscuits now. No, I'm not going to. But biscuits are good.
Biscuits are good.
I am going to go to the bathroom and get some water real quick. I'll be right back.
Noise removal. Let's see. Let me try this again. I did something wrong here. Noise removal. Get noise profile.
You need like 5 or 6 seconds selected.
Yeah.
For it to be effective. And it is really effective.
It is.
Yeah, I do like that song.
Yeah, I liked it immediately. I think I like it more than it is objectively good. And
Well, it's more it's not like it's a a really deep song. It's supposed to be a country ballad. It's not supposed to be a
mhm.
like I don't know. But that was a good year for country. Lots of good stuff came out that year. So
That happens. I got to make sure this worked.
let's see here. Top hits of the year. John Michael Montgomery, Angel in My Eyes. That was a good one. A Broken Wing, Martina McBride. Burning the Roadhouse Down was Garth Brooks. Jody Messina, Bye Bye. That was a good one. Let's see.
Okay. Um. Oh.
Oh, you know what? I promised my buddy I was going to do an Alabama song at some point. I never did.
Song of the South. Oh.
Sweet
See,
potato pies. Yep, yep.
Nate. Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't realize how little you like country.
I like I really do like the Loretta Lynn kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Well, that's like you
I
like
prefer that.
old country style.
I
Then.
like
Yeah,
old country.
yeah, and I like bluegrass kind of thing pretty well.
Yeah.
Although I like that better in a live
But
setting.
bluegrass
Maybe I
isn't
do.
country.
No, it's
People need
not.
to remember that distinction. Bluegrass is more folk than country.
Right.
It's true.
And so I think this is that kind of pop country I'm not wild about.
See,
Oh,
country
that.
music as a genre is more of the like gaudy Western clothes and things like that. If you want to think about its origins, it's not the folksy stuff.
No. It's much more Branson, Missouri. It's like it's big and tacky, and that's fine. And that kind of thing I'm not as into. But again, it's not. I felt that way about rap for a long time, and I don't feel that way anymore. So
Well, I am picking a R&B rap song for my
Nice.
next one, Fort Minor, which is Mike Shinoda
Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah, from
from
Lincoln Park.
Linkin Park. Remember the Name. It's a good song.
All right. Well, I'm finishing this orange, and then I'll be ready.
It's all good.
Forrest is fighting off a cold, so I don't want to catch it. So I'm eating an orange and using that as an excuse.
Good idea.
Sorry. Okay.
You know the sad thing is, and I didn't even realize this until I just started listening to it again, is that this song is that part of it is used in the ad for is either the ad or in the actual movie for the new horrible Karate Kid that was Will Smith's kid, Jaden Smith.
Part of it. Wait, are you talking about Brooks and Dunn or Radiohead?
No, none of those. Fort Minor, the one that I was just telling you about.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like, man, really? I can't see either one of those songs working.
Did you say you heard Graduation by Kanye West?
The
What?
album?
Yeah.
Graduation is the one Kanye album I'm less familiar with. That's the one that has.
It's one of the more critically acclaimed ones.
Is that
Anyway.
the one with like the bear being launched out of the cannon on the cover, like the cartoon cover?
Yep.
That's the one I'm less familiar with, and I think for a while it's because there weren't any there was some gaps on it on Spotify, so I didn't listen to that one. I listened to his first two a lot, and I listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy a lot, and Graduation. Oh, and the other one, the one that everyone forgets, 808s and Heartbreaks. I listened to that one a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, that's got two of my favorite. I mean, I love Stronger and Flashing Lights are both.
I like Stronger too. Actually, okay, well, we'll come to this later. But
Well, no,
okay.
the reason I mentioned that is the song "Champion" is the second track.
Uh-huh.
The whole song is sampling a Steely Dan song. I didn't realize.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually I kind of hate it. I kind of hate how it sounds. Like,
Do you hate it because it samples a song you like, or?
Yeah, probably, but it's like the whole song is built off of Kid Charlemagne, one hook from Kid Charlemagne, Steely Dan song. So
well, that is one of the things that Kanye is best at.
What was that?
I was listening to I was listening to a song by LCD Sound System. Have you ever heard them, Aaron? Or him? I guess it's like a guy with a band.
I've heard the name. That's it.
Well, he had a song called "Get Innocuous" that I almost picked. I almost thought about picking it this week, but he had that song, and it samples a song by Kraftwerk that I really like. And I hadn't realized that I'd heard both songs for ages, and I hadn't realized that he was sampling a song called "The Robots." And then I heard it, I'm like, oh, I hear it now. And so that was a weird realization. Like, I've been listening to these songs for a long time. I don't know why I never picked that up.
Dude, when you brought up Moxie Fruvis today, I was like, what?
Fruvis. I'm not going with Fruvis. Although who knows? I might. Man, I don't know. I'm still kind of in this extemporaneous. We'll see what I pick when I pick it mode.
I know.
Okay.
This is the moment of the week when I don't know. I go back and forth so much on what I want to choose.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and I'm like, well, what do I want to be? I mean, because I have to live with this choice for a month and not regret that I picked it. You know, I may still go with Fruvis. I don't know. We'll see what I do. Well, you know, we don't have to wait to the end. You guys just want to pick songs now. If you guys have something, we don't have to peel off the Band-Aid so slowly. Do you want some more time to think about it until we get to the end of the?
I already know what I'm doing. So.
Okay.
I mean, I'm good. I'm gonna choose mine, and I'm good with it. I actually liked what my choice a long time ago. I almost thought about going back to Reanimation by Linkin Park and picking off one of Shinoda's more interesting ones.
Is he the DJ or is he the?
He's the one that does all of, like, the. I think he does all the mixing. Yeah.
Okay. He does. He does the rapping, or did the rapping. I don't know if Linkin Park still does that anymore, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just start. Let's do it. Let's pick them later because the conversation might remind you of something, and.
Okay.
Let's just. I'm anxious to.
All right, let's do it. Aaron's busting at the seams to get this one. All right, here we go. You guys ready?
Oh, yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, record. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the takedown notice because today we're talking about a song that should give us a lot of good fodder to talk about today. We're talking about the National Anthem by Radiohead. I'm joined by Brothers Van Valkenburg, Aaron in New York State. How you doing, Aaron?
Great for now.
And and John in Columbus, Ohio. John, what's going on?
Nada.
Nothing. Well, I'm the one who picked out the National Anthem, and that I feel like I'm being a little. I'm betraying Radiohead a little bit here because Radiohead, this is from their album Kid A, which came out in 2000, and it was one of the first notable albums, major albums at least, to leak on Napster. And it was funny because Radiohead was not upset that the album leaked so much as the album could then be played out of order. And so I am listening. I am pulling a song out of the middle of a weird experimental album, albeit a very well regarded one. And I'm also picking one of the more challenging songs on the album. So the National Anthem. This is a song that. It's interesting to me because the whole thing of of Kid A is that it's very minimalistic with its lyrics, especially in the first half. This is the third song, and it follows everything everything in its right place, and then the title track Kid A, and both of those are very weird, kind of meandering, atmospheric. I mean, Kid A, you can't understand the lyrics; that's so processed. Tom York's vocals, and then it comes to the national anthem, and there's that weird throbbing bass line at the beginning. And I think what I find so fascinating about this, now I should be open. I kind of picked this song to be a little ornery. I, I knew it. I knew it would give us some good discussion, and so that's kind of why I picked it. Less than because it's a song. I mean, I'm not putting this song on any playlists. It's just too. It draws too much attention to itself in maybe the wrong way, and so. But the reason I like the song is because, first of all, the themes of Kid A are fascinating to me, and partially because you don't see a lot of rock albums that go for this kind of thing, or if they do go for it, they go for it in a very literal sort of way. But the themes of Kid A are that the kind of fears that come from the information age, which kind of carries over what was talked about in OK Computer, which is the album that came before this by Radiohead, and the whole fear of globalization and that sense that you're on the edge of something new and frightening, and this is very much in keeping with that theme. I think this song in particular, there's a very Orwellian 1984 kind of feel to it. And I think part of that is, and I don't know if I'd get that if the song wasn't called the National Anthem. But the song is called the National Anthem, and it has this sort of, we will all rise together and do the same thing. And it makes me think in the book 1984, where they have the daily hating. Basically, it's a time where they look at the state's enemy and everyone just whips themselves into a frenzy so they can hate on the enemy of the state. And of course, in 1984, whoever the enemy is switches as the government needs it to. It's a kind of, I don't know if it's really a groundbreaking thing for rock music, because rock music is like I've said this before, it's can be kind of a young man's game, and that kind of stick it to the man thing is a very young man thing to say. Because I mean, I don't really feel this way about authority, but at the same time there's that mistrust that I think we all have about at least some people who are above us, even all the way up into like the national and international level. And I think that when it comes to the end, just the chaotic, very free form clashing sound that comes at the last, maybe the back half of the song, I think what I like there is I think that just really informs that theme to me. And I mean, I know now, I mean, one of the things with Radiohead, it's impossible to really talk about Radiohead on an informed level without sounding like a pretentious douchebag. So, I mean, I know, and I know I'm kind of running that risk here, but it really does put me in mind of fear and oppression, and just that sort of sense we get that you are being watched, and you will join in with everyone else as we as we all put our hands on our hearts and watch the blood pump, and we lose reason and become one past that. And it's just a very frightening. It's a sort of the dark side of the 21st century to sound really pretentious. And I think that's why the song works for me and why I enjoy it so much. But I know not everyone feels that way, and I don't know who to call on first here. I think John is more. We'll go with John, and we'll let Aaron have the final word before we really wade into it. So, John, how about your thoughts on the national anthem?
Okay. When this song came out, I hated everything about it. I hated Kid A as a whole. I really wanted to punch Tom York in the face, because I love every album up to this from Radiohead. And then I was like, seriously? You did one too many acid trips, and you're just caught off the deep end. I have since gotten a little bit more open in my taste in music. I've gotten a little bit more into the ambient electronic. I enjoy those a little bit more, and I can appreciate this song a little bit more. It still is not one that I listen to on repeat or anything.
No.
And again, it's not meant for that. It's meant to be.
It does it for you.
It's meant to be. Yes, I understand, Aaron. It's very droning. It's meant to be played in part of in the context of the album, as you mentioned, Nate.
I'm really doing the song a disservice by pulling it out, frankly, and I don't know that I mean, I doubt Aaron's going to really agree with that, but it really does work in the context of the album really well. And I think that's one reason why it's so effective. And I do rob it of that effectiveness when I pull it out of there. So I'm
Well,
sorry. Go ahead, John.
to be fair, if Aaron doesn't like this one, he's going to hate the rest of the album.
Look, I mean, this works in the context of the album, like taking a really, really bad crap makes the day better afterwards, you know? I mean, yeah, it works. It functions.
Dude, you
It's
really
like-
don't like your dumps.
No, I'm
Sometimes
I'm not
really
saying
relieving.
every single time. Some dumps are fine.
That's definitely one where you turn on the you turn on the exhaust fan when you're done with that
Yeah,
one.
I mean, this is like this is a full body experience
Wow,
dump
Mitch.
that only because you get over and get through with it that you feel better and the day is therefore better.
It's not
The
your turn
moment
to
is-
forget.
Sorry.
Just hold off for a second. We're gonna start calling you Ryan. Getting all Toto on us. But yeah, no, I mean, I enjoy the song to a degree. I'm not in love with it by any stretch. I think that Radiohead's done much better stuff than Kid A. I think that is they're allowed to do their experimental album. They've done it multiple times now since. But I mean, but this song in particular, it does okay for me. I mean, it's no longer the grating I hate myself for listening to it kind of thing that it used to be. Because when this came out, like I said, I hated it with a passion. And I mean, I almost would fight people when they would talk about how brilliant it was, and I was like, no, this is horrible. OK Computer is genius. This is horrible. But
You're both right, guys. You're both right.
Yes, it's like pie and cake are both good.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I did find it interesting. The instrument that's used in this, the Ond Martineau. I'm interested to hear if Aaron has any more insight into that, because it's like a really weird like organ with the kind of the triangle like in the synth waves built in, which is how they kind of get that spacey eerie sound.
Yeah.
And apparently it was first used in like the 20s. It was invented in the 20s or whatever, but it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I believe, and Aaron, you might be able to correct me, and maybe not, but I believe it's used a lot in like 50s sci-fi kind of stuff. And actually, now that we're talking about this, I'm gonna look it up.
I know that every review makes sure to cite Messiaen, the French composer, who also used this instrument, just to give it a little more cultural capital there for it. Believe me.
Nate, you'll appreciate this. It says here that Daft Punk uses one on Random Access Memories on the track Touch.
Oh yeah, that's totally a song that would use this, definitely.
Sorry, just a little.
I'm looking it up here on Wikipedia, and it's an early electronic musical instrument. Original design was similar in sound to the theremin, and the theremin is the one I'm thinking of. And the theremin is the one that's more widely used in like the woo kind of thing. That's not that. This is a different thing though.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
It's like its cousin in its own way. Yeah.
Aaron. Okay. Now that I have to know. It's funny. Those of you we do have some short discussion beforehand on these songs, and Aaron has been hinting he has a lot of problems with this song, and he's been very because we want to keep this kind of spontaneous, and so I'm like on the edge of my seat, like, ooh, what's Aaron gonna say about this song? Because I kind of picked it thinking this might drive him crazy, him and John. I knew how John felt about Kid A, and I'm a little gratified that he's come around a little bit on it. So I want to hear what Aaron has to say.
Yeah. Okay. Let me pick on John for a second before I get going. John, I have no idea what you mean by I like it fine. What is that? What? This is either like this is no. This
is not a song you like fine.
No. you're
I
either
understand
kind
that
of
you're saying it's polarizing.
it's a polarizing song, I think. And here's the reason it really sucks. This I read somewhere this riff was written by I think whoever it was um, at the age of 16, and I was like, yeah, sounds like it. It's a fine riff. It's about
It's
a
not a
riff.
riff. It's a bass line. I mean, it's like you don't.
It's a riff. It's a riff. I mean, it's a ostinato riff, meaning it's a repetitive, which is great. This is all good. We all like it. It's a bass riff. You know, it's a repeating, rhythmic ostinato kind of repetitive unit. But here's the thing, it's not that great of a riff, and so it grabs you up front and it's memorable, but and it's the same thing the entire time without any change in only the atmosphere changes around it. Now you could say that's expressive. This is minimalism, essentially. So a lot of post-rock, and this is an example of definitely kind of a little bit of experimental rock, post-rock type of stuff going on
very
here.
much so. Yeah.
And a lot of what post-rock is doing is kind of taking the ideas of minimalism that was found in music. Think of Philip Glass or Steve Reich and things like that, and kind of incorporating this into their music, and it's great. The music that I prefer that's minimalistic in tendency, this is different, but there's a kind of a style more or less invented by the Prague band Meshuggah that's kind of called gent, and it's very minimalistic in a lot of ways too, and I can imagine a riff like this being used by Meshuggah. The difference now, someone like Meshuggah, they're a different band, but bands like that would like to use minimalistic ideas, they don't just play the naive riff the entire time. They change it tiny bits here and there, and almost all of minimalism, does this. This song wants to sound like minimalism and take that, and they forgot that there's actual musical interest in the variation that's subtle that you can do. And so all this song is an annoying riff that sounds like a high schooler wrote this riff with cool creative atmosphere stuff. And they completely ruin it by thinking they've accomplished something by keeping this riff the entire time. There's so much expression they completely left out by just keeping this annoying riff going the entire time as it is. It totally ruins the song because it's not a good riff, and there's no variation, and there's plenty of room for good expressive variation of this without feeling like it has to be like always changed. You can still be minimalistic. So that's the first reason it sucks. It's a really, in my opinion, I know it's a really bad job of using a repetitive ostinato to create a minimalist effect. Really bad.
That's the most Aaron reason to hate a song.
I mean, that's.
I don't think it's a bad reason, but it's like that's exactly the kind of reason I would expect you to give.
Yes, so that just irritated me up front. You know, if this song had creatively changed, even in subtle ways, this ostinato, I would have bought it. I would have bought the entire song because I liked when the vocals came in, and I liked it. I liked the atmosphere, the brass, and all this stuff. It kind of reminded me a little bit of I don't know why, but it kind of this experimental kind of waves of sounds coming in and out. For some reason, it reminded me a little bit of what King Crimson had done before in the '70s, and some early prog stuff, and maybe even some Pink Floyd moments. But like, I was okay with the song. I just I felt like the ideas were super underdeveloped, and this was just experimentation with other stuff, and it's almost like they forgot like this is the scratch track bass, and they kept looping it, and they forgot to say, oh yeah, we're going to go back and make that interesting. That's what this song is. This is like the unfinished song that they just left on the album.
So am I right in here? Tell me if I'm right. This is what I'm hearing, that it's for you the big rub is a bass line that you don't think is good and goes on for 5 minutes.
as is with no variation, as if that's what minimalism tries to do.
Okay, here's my problem with that. Is I think I think you're assuming that their one goal was minimalism.
It's not their one goal, but like to me, that's what minimalism tends to do. Even when it sounds repetitive, I'm okay with repetition, but usually subtle variations is more expressive, and it gives it life to the drone, that you still get the effect without, you get your cake and eat it too, I guess. You get your repetitive droning sound without ignoring the fact that it's the exact same thing the entire time, you know.
Okay, here's kind of what I got, and it's very entirely possible given my previous statements of what I felt when it came out. When I hear this, I hear what would be going on inside my head, especially when you go to lyrics, if I am just crazy tripping. I mean, the droning, the bass could basically be like my heartbeat, and the rest is just, I mean, look at the lyrics. Everyone around here, everyone is so near. What's going on? What's going on? I mean, that kind of thing. It's like a paranoid, and it's like
I get the meta expression, and I appreciate the effect of a static riff. The problem is, it's almost like no one told them that, no, don't really just do the same thing the entire time. That's a big problem for me. I think it ruins the song. So.
You're also one that enjoys 24 minutes straight of music that has very little to do with each other than may tie in thematically.
For instance, I think Aaron, specific example of a song that I'm talking about. The beginning of like a 20-minute song by Meshuggah, totally unaccessible. It's called I, and it begins with this minimalistic riff that is even more basic and primitive than this, but they change it up subtly the entire time, and when you're listening, you you just soak it in, but you know that it's not the exact same thing, and that keeps you. It actually forces you to like engage and like get entranced in it. Where this is just like, oh, just stop listening to it.
Man, here's one thing you said, Aaron, is that now the atmosphere around it changes. To me, this song is its atmosphere. To me, I mean, like when you say, okay, it's like the bass line. Yes, it is very repetitive, and it's very ambient. Actually, I think that's actually a better comparison. Like it reminds me of something by Eno, or something along those lines. I mean, Eno will have like an 18-minute song that's just the same little keyboard loop for 18 minutes. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of what he's doing, and that's there is power to be found in that. Now, is this one maybe not as interesting as something like that? I don't know. It works for me, but I almost think you're kind of like you're not seeing the forest for the trees there with that, because the atmosphere surrounding it, like the chaotic, the horns and the on mountaino, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, that's all there too. And you say, oh well, it changes the atmosphere around it. Yeah, it does. I mean, that's exactly what it does, and that's the whole point right there.
I just can't get away from this. Feels incomplete. Like that's all. I think
now here's the thing. I don't, and you could tell me this better than I could. You could, that made, I don't know why I said that, but you could confirm this. I wonder if that is at least partially an effect of removing it from the album. Because even at the end, it starts to kind of feed into the next song, which is "How to Disappear Completely," which is another very, like in terms of melody at least, it's a very it's a very minimalistic melody, but maybe a more conventional composition than this one.
Side note, Nate. Just a quick side note that "How to Disappear Completely" was inspired by REM. Did you know that?
I did know that, by Michael Stipe giving because
it was a stress reliever.
Yeah, because Tom York did not take to touring very well, and has never actually. He struggles with touring, I believe. So yes, I did know that. That's cool. I love that's title, "How to Disappear Completely." So anyway, Aaron, I think that'd be my response to that. I don't know. Okay, you've used this before, and I think you've used this distinction when we talked about T-Rex. You talked about, oh, it's like a middle schooler wrote this or a high schooler wrote this. I don't understand that distinction. to be perfectly frank. So there's that. Now, can I see just not liking that bass line and being drastically annoyed that it just keeps going and going? And yeah, it is the whole song. That bass line does not let up. For me, it does work almost like John said, like a heartbeat. It would actually. I'm bringing in another sci-fi theme here from a Wrinkle in Time, when they go to the planet and it is this giant brain. Spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't read this book in the last 50 years. But the whole thing with it is that it has this pulse, and that he basically controls the pulse of life all around him, and and it's like this struggle to not fall into the cadence that it has. And I think for me it adds to that kind of oppressive, frightening, paranoid atmosphere that comes from this song. And I think that I think that's why it works for me. Now, I think my wife would agree with you. This drives her crazy. She's heard this and said, "Why would you listen to this?" It was what I think are her actual words. And
yeah, I mean, and I don't like it because I don't like minimalism that much, but I also don't like it as minimalism. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I guess you're approaching it like, it's like saying, "Oh, this is a bad example of a country song. It does all these things wrong." Okay, it's like that's almost a non-criticism, because you're assuming that is what it's trying to do, and that's I think that's kind of a faulty assumption.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying, you can accomplish what it's trying to do by giving more integrity to what that drone is, and that's gonna. If that makes sense, you can do both, and I just think they blew it.
I see what you're saying, Aaron. I just think that the nice thing for Radiohead is that they had earned a little bit of they had a little bit of credence by the previous album had won alternative album of the year. This one won album of the year. They already had the critics on their side, so they could kind of do what they want. I mean, I know that's kind of a cop out, but I mean, he was very experimental with it. I read that he at one point, for some of the lyrics, just basically took lyrics, cut them up, and drew the words out of a hat to put them together. Like drew the lyric phrases out of a hat.
Yeah. One of the interesting emphases in Kid A is how they Pablo Honey, they didn't print the lyrics, but they did print the lyrics for the Benz and for OK Computer, and then for later albums I believe they did too. I don't have physical copies of a lot of the later ones, but they purposefully did not put the lyrics in here. And Tom York's whole rationale behind that was that he did not want the vocalist to be the center of the band. He wanted it to sort of function as one more musical instrument, which is why on Kid A it's processed to the point where it's like you really can't understand what he's saying at all. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's definitely a vocal, but it's been processed so heavily that I don't believe it is meaningless, because it has to some extent that medium is its own message, right? I mean, that's how that's a basic that's a communications major in me there talking, but it does change how you approach it, and it does kind of lend itself to a sort of word salad approach. And even in this song, I mean, I'm reading in all of these emotions, this fear and this paranoia. The lyrics, as John said, are very minimalistic. I mean, they're only suggestive in the barest of senses.
Well, and the weird thing is that it's creepy how they kind of tie in. I mean, this came out in 2000, and it's that paranoia of everybody in the world is now so close and so connected, so easy. It's so easy for people to get here. There's so much fear. And then, boom, a year later, 9/11. I mean, it's kind of like this. So in a way, I kind of take the lyrics, at least the lyrics, and again, I understand the Aaron's point is more towards the musical and not the use of the lyrics. But my kind of feeling on like the droning and everything is, you could even take this to be, these are just almost like a collection of thoughts that he's gathering from people on the internet that are, it's people's expressions or thoughts in their mind about what's going on, and that could be like why it's called the National Anthem. It's kind of the feeling of the country. And I mean,
Yeah.
you also have to remember all this stupid stuff that happened. If it took, I forgot completely about the whole millennium bug fear and all that, and how the world was gonna, basically go into a new stone age because all the computers were not going to be able to handle the transition to the year 2000. And there is when we bought our house, there is a giant barrel, like a 50-gallon barrel of water in our laundry room that I cannot get out unless I have somebody help me. That is all drinking water from one of the people who bought that because they were afraid of not being able to have potable water, if you can believe it or not, because of the fear of Y2K. So that's the kind of backdrop that he's writing this against, is all this weird, unrealistic fear. But then, some of it was realistic. The paranoia of just being so closely connected and so easily accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
And I also did read that a lot of times with the whole lyrics is that on albums where he especially felt a more of an emotional connection, that he didn't want to ruin kind of the feel of the song in the expression that he was looking for by somebody misinterpreting the lyrics. That was something I had read that he had done.
Yeah, this is, and we're now kind of getting into the squishy area of critiquing an entire album, and even to some extent with Radiohead, a good chunk of their career is tied up in this. Not just this album. I think OK Computer has a lot of the same themes, and the follow-up album, Amnesiac, is composed of songs from the same sessions. Aaron, I do understand what you mean about just musically at the most basic level. This is genuinely unpleasant for you to listen to, and I actually think that's a very reasonable thing to say, because I did not mention this, but for many years I felt pretty close to how John felt about Kid A. I don't know what possessed me to give it more chances, but then eventually a couple years back I realized that this actually is my favorite Radiohead album.
Ugh.
And that was a weird, I know, and John, and that was a weird realization, like thinking, this is the one I'd want to listen to. I'm most likely to listen to, and that was a strange thought. And so it took work for me to like this. And a lot of times I've said this before. I said this when we talked about Iron and Wine, that there's a point where this is just too much work, and I can see how this would definitely cross that line, or just be not worth the trouble to do it. And so I mean, if it fails that basic sniff test, then it's like, well, everything else is a waste of your time. So am I kind of reading that right, or?
No, I mean, basically, I don't mind the minimalism. I don't like the minimalism, but that's not the hang-up. I mind. I think what I really mind is not just that I think they did a bad job expressing through minimalism. It's also that it feels also like they get a lot of credit for what they're doing, and they're actually doing a C- job with some of their execution of the genre, in my opinion. So it's like, I feel like that. I feel like I need to hate it because someone needs to hate this aspect of it, And I almost just don't care, and I guess it functions, and I just don't care about this type of music in general enough. It's fine.
You're not the hero we need, but you're the one we deserve, Aaron.
But man, someone's got to say that bass riff just really is. This is bad writing. It's not the minimalistic part. It's bad minimalistic writing.
I can understand what you're talking about. That it does feel like they kind of, and I have to watch how I say this. It almost feels like they phoned it in after they had so much success early on. I mean, they were about one of the biggest bands after OK Computer.
Phoned it in, John. Look at the rest. Look at all the surrounding that's going on. All the work, the saxophone, and all that junk. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of. This is a very intricate track, except for the part they forgot to make give integrity.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, your entire gripe is that they didn't turn off the loop?
No, it's not that they don't turn off the loop. It's they did nothing with the loop at all. It's a loop of a mediocre riff, and that's not what minimalism is about.
It's almost like the loop itself is too half-baked. It's like it never takes off at that
No
most
pun intended.
fundamental level.
Yeah, it doesn't. They could have done something with the centerpiece of the song. I know it's not what the song's about, but that is at the core of the song, and they did nothing with it. They left this. It's like a great meal that's prepared, and you've got all these great fixings that are really intricate, and the meat is something you brought home, hot dogs from like
From the gas
McDonald's,
station or something. Yeah.
whatever, from the gas station, yeah. And that's what is surrounding. It's like, oh, come on, just like, can't we at least have like put a tiny bit of effort into the centerpiece, like, even if it's not really what this meal's about? It's still there, and let's not make our lemonade taste like sugar water, or whatever it would be, just whatever it is. And that really irritated me because I expected there to be a little more of a depth to that actually gives it more agency. Because otherwise I just ignore it and I say, oh, it's just a repetitive thing, and I guess it's expressive. But I think it'd be more terrifying if it seemed to have agency, because from our experience of things, we never experience things as just a drone. When it's terrifying, it's subjectively to us. It has some kind of terrifying agency that's there, and there's none of that. It's just the surrounding, and they could have done that. And minimalism at its best lets that creep in.
But it's not. I really don't think it's minimalism. Like I don't know. We've gone on a long time about this, and we probably do have to start wrapping this up. But it's fine. This is all good stuff, and I think it's valuable. I think Aaron, I think I don't even necessarily disagree with your assessment. I think the underdeveloped baseline I think I think that works to the song and actually builds the atmosphere. And I know you don't seem to think that the atmosphere is really what we're here for, but I think it pretty clearly is.
It's a lot of it, yeah.
And so I think that would be kind of my thought. But it took me a long time to get there, and I agreed with you for many, many years. So who knows what I know? Maybe this might just be musical Stockholm syndrome. we all go through that sometimes.
You've fallen in love with your captain.
Yeah, I have. I love this album so much. Okay, well, I think that's about it. I think we've talked about as much Radiohead as we can and still live with ourselves. Guys, anything else you want to say?
The only thing I do want to say is, good for me, this album, which has this terrible song, did lose Album of the Year to Steely Dan. So that's all I gotta say.
And we all know how the Grammys are infallible.
Justice prevailed.
It's still won Alternative Album of the Year.
Who cares? Album of the Year was Steely Dan.
What Steely Dan album was that?
Two Against Nature. They beat Kid A.
You're the only person who could answer that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that nobody knows Steely Dan.
Yeah. This is a little like saying, Citizen Kane didn't win Best Picture. Okay. It definitely got the last laugh. All right. I think that's enough.
Indeed.
All right, guys. Thanks, everyone. Have a good... we'll figure out some other closing. Take care.
Nice.
Aaron, you were going in full-on Toto mode there, man.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. I was expecting that kind of discussion from the song. Like I picked that song specifically to give us something to talk about like that. So really don't feel bad.
If it's all rainbows and sunshine, nobody likes it.
We're
a very emo, to use the phrase, country.
Yes, we are. Okay, we all need to pick some songs here.
Right. I'm just removing it. This was a long conversation.
Yeah, it was.
We'll try to.
Can you imagine how much longer it would have been if Will and Ryan? Because I think they might have been more with me. At least Ryan is. Ryan likes Kid A a lot too. So.
Yeah, this would have been hard to keep under 40 minutes with all of us here.
Oh my, yeah.
It's for a single. That's the crazy thing. Although, to be fair, we didn't just talk about this track. We did delve into Radiohead as a whole.
Yeah, we can definitely. There's definitely stuff to trim out here.
Although there's no questioning that if you go back to Pablo Honey and OK Computer and the Bends, that it is not the same Radiohead.
I think you see the seeds of it, and like How to Disappear Completely sounds a lot like a cut from. It sounds a little like Subterranean Homesick Alien. and a little bit like no surprises to me. And so, I mean, especially in the back half of Kid A is also a little more conventional. Um, it stops being quite as intensely strange in the second half. But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't expect you guys to put in the effort to get that far.
No,
Okay.
I own all of the Radiohead albums up to this one.
Yeah, I have. I don't have. I need to get Amnesiac and Hail to the Thief. Those are the ones I don't have. I have the two newest ones. I didn't love King of Limbs, the most recent one. That one's not. I mean, it's fine, but it's not great. Aaron, that one to me does feel underwritten. If you talk about an album that's like, oh, they have stuff that sounds interesting and they're kind of just letting it sit there. That album does do that, I think.
In Rainbows was pretty decent.
In Rainbows is a good album. That one I was telling Aaron, that's actually a good starting point because those songs were all written on tour, and so they have a more direct approach. It's still, I mean, it's still Radiohead. There's no denying who it is, but it's a little more,
Well,
I
it's
guess,
still new
organic.
Radiohead.
Yeah, I like In Rainbows a lot. That's a good album.
I like 4-Minute Warning is off the bonus disc. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I think Jigsaw's Falling Into Place is one of my favorite Radiohead songs on that album. Anyway, go ahead.
No, so I was going to say, I'll send you a link or something, and just listen to the beginning of that Meshuggah song. I'll say, and I know to me, I think that's a lot better. It's a little bit maybe too much variation of a simple riff, but it's much more like what I would have liked to have heard, and it would have given the riff more agency. So I'll send it to you. But
yeah, definitely send that. We need to get some songs. I need to get going here. You guys probably do too. I decided on a song. Okay, the song I picked. I'm picking another one that maybe is a little more difficult, but I think it's easier than this one. I'm picking actually "Get Innocuous" by
what's it called?
By LCD Sound System.
LCD Sound System. What's the song called?
Get Innocuous.
Okay.
Typed it in. And yes, with an exclamation point. It's the opening song on the album.
Okay. I'll go with mine. Yeah, go ahead and type it in there, Nate.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Type it in the Hangout or in the chat window?
In the chat window, the Hangout. Okay. No, I mean the chat window. Yeah. Okay. Where I was typing. Sorry, back to where we were. Okay. I've gone back and forth with Steely Dan. I really want to do a Steely Dan track just because it brings in a wealth of conversation and it'd be nice for me. I am going to stick with the Donald Fagen I.G.Y. song from the 1982 album Nightfly.
Going with the 80s.
It's Ryan's gonna probably hate it up front, but
this is gonna be a very synthy electronic because I picked a 7-minute electronica song.
Oh really? Okay, this will be a lot of that this month.
Yeah.
Okay, John.
Well, we still have Ryan's song. We still have a TV on the radio. So. Yeah. John, how about you?
I'm choosing just based because I want to listen to it more. Man, I'm gonna get made fun of. Remember the Name by Fort Minor.
And I think Will is going to choose one soon, an album. So hopefully it'll vary from the electronic-y kind of sound. I should say, and we can talk about it later. With my song, definitely want to listen a few times with headphones, but mostly make sure you pay attention to the lyrical themes because that's kind of the point. The style itself makes more sense once you kind of understand what the lyrics are doing.
Okay. Got it. All right. I think that's it for me then.
Great.
When I have my class schedule next week, I'll let you guys know.